There's Kevin with Gone Rogue Games here with another Bucko's House of Booty auction preview. So this is going on currently on our Discord for the Bucko's House of Booty. And I also want to get a little bit of a history of where I think that Magic the Gathering is headed towards some dangerous times. And I think this auction is just going to shed light on that, of where Magic keeps pushing the envelope and keep making things even more spicy, and the FOMO gets harder and harder to avoid because, oh man, you're going to miss out on the latest and greatest things from Magic the Gathering. So if you've seen the spoilers from Commander Legends, you know what I'm talking about, with just the insane amount of like chase cards and value, and the light reprint of Black Lotus in the form of Jeweled Lotus, and where now it has just got pre-orders through the roofs and people just have to come up with the money to buy the latest and greatest. And I don't think it's something that's sustainable, and I think this is going to shed light of where we've evolved from Magic the Gathering. So I think that Magic the Gathering already had a pretty good rhythm with when it released its sets. It used to do things in 3-block sets, so you'd have the first hype set and then you'd have the expansions that would have kind of the missing pieces. And it was actually quite fun to play in those time periods too, because you would have, it'd give you kind of the preview, the teaser of what the plane had to offer, and then you'd have kind of an intermediate set, and then usually they just knock it out of the park with the third set. And it was quite fun, and it still led to people wanting to open up a lot of booster boxes. A lot of people want to draft, and I think that now with all the products out here like theme decks and set boosters and collector's editions, it's not like taking away like the money from what the booster boxes used to get, so they're just really competing with their own products, but it's leading to less drafts overall, in my opinion, because a lot of people would be like, okay, you could only get the product from draft boosters, might as well draft it. And those type of players would still want to at least draft and add to that the pool of people that were drafting. And now we have people who just come in and buy collector's editions and set boosters, like, well, I already spent all my money on this set that I was going to spend, so I'm not going to draft. And it's just really, in my opinion, hurt the overall like limited community, and just the liveliness at local game stores when a new set was released with wanting to do a lot of drafts. So anyway, it really started, I would say, with this set here, with Conspiracy. Because Conspiracy was the first set that they tried that was a different type of product. So this was supposed to be meant for drafting, actually, and they reprinted some chase cards in here. They wanted to make sure they could sell the set, as this was just a kind of a new thing, a new territory that they were exploring. And Conspiracy actually was pretty underwhelming and didn't get the reception they thought it was. But this set has aged very, very well, and I think it made Wizards of the Coast, and it made players realize that they should actually scoop this type of product up when they come out with it. And then, of course, they followed up with Conspiracy Take the Crown, was a little bit more better received and had even more chase cards, and they pushed the envelope even more. And then we have things like, then we had the Battle Bond that came out after that, which was very similar. This was meant to be a two-headed giant draft set. And the little bit of history of the Battle Bond is this was a set that was very well received, and then it was basically out of stock, and then they had to reprint it, and then that went out of stock, and then it stabilized for the third printing of Battle Bond, and then these boxes just shot through the roof until they really started coming up with even more special products. So my point is that I think they were on the right track with the evolution of Conspiracy into Conspiracy Take the Crown into Battle Bond. Like, each one of these was actually received better and better and better, to where the rhythm of these type of sets was actually working. But apparently that wasn't enough for Wizards of the Coast, and then they tried it to do something with Modern Horizons. Now, Modern Horizons was a set that was supposed to be, these weren't, these were just regular booster packs. They didn't have a higher increase of the MSRP for the booster boxes. They were still just your regular $4 packs, and they were meant for drafting, and there wasn't anything crazy about them. Then the next big transition came with Modern Horizons. So Modern Horizons was it was very, very hard to get cards into Modern without breaking standard. So this was supposed to be a yearly set. This is how recent all this crap is, that Modern Horizons hasn't even had a second edition yet. how fast they push the envelope with these type of sets. But Modern Horizons was ways to get into Modern powerful cards. A lot of them end up having to be banned in Modern. Into the Modern format without having to ruin standard. So this had a price increase, though, as this was a little bit more than the price of regular booster boxes. I guess in between that time period, they also messed with this nonsense. So we had the Masters, the Modern Masters, and the Modern Masters 2, and then we eventually had Eternal Masters, and then we also had Iconic Masters, which was, after all those sets did very well, the player base started to get a little bit tired of these Master sets. And so each one of them did a fairly worse than the ones. So Modern Masters was received very, very well. And Eternal Masters was also received very, very well and sold out, and those boxes are insanely expensive now. And then it transitioned over to Modern Masters 2, which had some printing issues and card quality problems, and it actually wasn't received as much because people were expecting Modern Masters 1, and it seemed like Wizards toned it down from Modern Masters 1. So Modern Masters 2 was not received very well, and then they did Modern Masters 3, which was crazily received because they had fetch lands in it. And they kept trying to go down this Masters road with the Iconic Masters, which was pretty mediocrely received, and then Masters 25, which the player base just absolutely hated. And these products did pretty poorly in the scope of things of how they wish they would have gone. Now, both of these have aged quite well because there is powerful cards in both of these sets, but it was a product that was hard to move for Wizards of the Coast for a while. I don't think they got the profit margins that they wanted from either of these sets, and so these ones were considered a little bit of failure of products. Then though, okay, we're not going to have another snoozer. This was supposed to be the one that was going to be the best thing ever printed, and so they made sure that they were going to come up with something that was foolproof with Ultimate Masters. Now, Ultimate Masters really pushed the envelope. They just packed the value of this. It's right around the time period I started my Rogue Market channel. I got a lot of heat for Ultimate Masters videos because I said that the prices would crash, that they could not hold because the FOMO was unreal for Ultimate Masters. This was just sold, the pre-sold for like $4.50 a box. It was nuts when people were trying to get their hands on Ultimate Masters. And I tried to tell people, like, calm down. This is not going to be able to, with the amount of supply that's out there, it's not going to be able to hold. And not only that, that if people kept going down this road, it is going to lead to Wizards of the Coast just becoming addicted to printing these sort of things, and they just have to keep coming out with more and more and more and more just to get that almighty dollar from the player base. So it's almost turned into like a Skinnerware type collectible card game where they just continue to push the envelope with these products and kind of force people that they have to buy or they're going to miss out on these crazy things, because people are still remembering Modern Masters 1, that everyone is a little bit hesitant to put their feet in the water about it, and then it just sold out and was impossible to get, and it was $12 a pack, and was really then went up to $20 a pack, and then $30 a pack, and it was really, really insanely hard to come by those, even when it was fairly new. And so each one of these sets, there's always that fear that they're going to miss out on that Modern Masters 1, and that's what happened with Ultimate Masters. Ultimate Masters ended up being probably the right supply because the prices did stabilize around that MSRP price. There was enough supply that you could get, not really from distributors, but at least from like Amazon or eBay for reasonable amounts of prices. It didn't like double up immediately. It didn't go bottom out like these two bottomed out really bad and then went for about distributor pricing on these two ones. And in fact, they were distributor pricing for almost a full year after the product was released. But this one did end up being basically the perfect set as far as gauging the supply and the demand. Lo and behold, though, then they came out this monstrosity, which is Double Masters, which I got a lot of heat for because I said it was too soon and that it was going to crash everything to where the Magic as a whole, all the money would just be sunk into Double Masters, and then the supply was too high and the market wasn't ready for it. And yep, that's basically what's happened with Double Masters. It still is quite easy to attain below what they quote-unquote want the MSRP to be for this. The prices of the cards that are contained in Double Masters absolutely did get crushed. And it's actually not that, I mean, this was just barely printed, and people aren't even excited about Double Masters anymore. It's something that's harder and harder to move. Then in between that, we had mystery boosters, which again went the route of Modern Horizons, where they're going to have a bit higher price of the pack, and we're going to just have reprints throughout Magic the Gathering. One of the biggest issues between these two is they picked a lot of the same cards. So anyway, that's kind of the histories of what we've had with the evolution of the booster packs. Now we're heading into Commander Legends, which is going to get people, I mean, the FOMO is just unreal with Commander Legends, and it's just right off the backs of these two FOMO sets, and even Jumpstart, which was another FOMO set. Now, in the middle of all this, you don't think that Wizards of the Coast is greedy enough, they printed these, the then Collector's Edition packs. We had Throne of Eldraine, which is a little bit on the conservative route, where you could actually get cards from like the Planeswalker decks or the Brawl decks, and people that slot end up being pretty terrible, but you could get these full art showcases, and this is going to be for the whales, where they're going to open this product rather than go the booster box route, and really price gouge these pretty highly. I think these go for like what, like $25 a piece for a booster pack of Throne of Eldraine for what they wanted with the MSRP of it. And I mean distributor price is still around $14, $15 for these packs. And then they did the same, of course, then for Theros Beyond Death, which they overprinted them and created too much of the collector's editions, because this one was something that was kind of hard to find. And in fact, you can still find Theros Beyond Death collector's edition for under distributor pricing. So it means that distributors had to blow this out to try to recover some of their capital to try to make way for the Commander Legends and whatnot. So it's pretty, the evolution has been pretty bad with how they've just pushed the envelope too quickly. I don't know where they're going to be able to go from here. Like, what more can they do? Ikoria, they tried to put these, had the Death Corona in it, which led to these being sold out like crazy. But it also, you know, people looking for those alternate, they said it's the only way to get these alternate art ones in these collector's edition boosters. But even Ikoria boosters now, the sleeve versions are still very, very easy to obtain. Then we had Core 2021. They had the Ugin, and everyone went crazy about the Core 2021. These are starting to come back from the Asian and the European markets for under distributor price or around that distributor price as well. Supply is pretty high of these. And into the Zendikar Rising collectors boosters, which now they had to push the envelope even further with putting fetch lands and expeditions, which I think is still a little soon from Modern Masters 2017. For a massive reprint for the fetch lands. Now, people might argue with me with that because fetch lands were getting quite pricey, but if you actually look at fetch lands before the printing of Zendikar Rising Collector's Edition, you can see they're already coming down in value, not going up in value. And then last but not least, we had the Double Masters, which was the ultimate money grab. This was to have the way you can only get the full art foil versions of cards from Double Masters for these box topper type things, which was this actually just contains a little teeny pack in that, and it was the ultimate whale product. So this is crazy. I don't know where Wizards can go from now. Like, where they're gonna have to do like gold sealed edition booster packs with, I don't know, like we've been joking, the hair of a Pro Tour player, or the before I get gross. Going into stuff. What are they going to do? What are they going to do with it? I really caution. This has been all pretty recently. I mean, from Battle Bond forward, I mean, the time frame that these were released compared to the time frame the rest of these were released is just like, this has been too quickly with all of this stuff. So anyway, if you enjoy this type of content, you can come over here to my Gone Rogue Games channel, where I review products. I think this is actually a video that's more suited for the Market Monday, because it's telling, like, I think you have to be very cautious with where you invest in with Magic the Gathering, even sealed. It's always been the big argument. Is it better to go to the singles route, better to go to the sealed route? Both are pretty bad right now. I mean, I was a big singles guy, mainly because it was easier to move singles, especially if you got in on the right singles. It was something that was very predictable when they had the old draft route, where it would take a good 2 years before a card would get reprinted. So you're like, okay, in 2 years, how much could something like a Smothering Tithe go up theoretically before it did get a reprint? And you can make that kind of risk assessment and invest in a particular card, or you could go for like a undervalued card that you knew was going to break a format like our Arclight Phoenix and get in on it. And even Arclight Phoenix, though, was reprinting pretty quickly in those challenger decks, and it's made singles very, very tough. But sealed is headed down the exact same route when all of these are pushing out their predecessors. So I mean, they've had to evolve from like Conspiracy was very conservative, into Battle Bond, into, you know, all these things that continue to like they have to. It's a drug. They have to keep increasing the perceived value of what you're getting from the product, and while simultaneously increasing the price, and keep pushing that envelope. And I just don't know how much the market can take. So much that if you actually go and look at my videos over at Rogue Deck Builder, I've done a couple of them about dead products, that we're starting to see a lot of products that I don't even think were terrible incredible, like Chandra's Spellbooks, Gideon's Spellbooks, Challenger decks. I think this year's Challenger decks were actually the best ones they've ever done because they had cards that weren't rotating. And now those are just being blown out. Unsanctioned's being blown out. All of these things, these products that are less than a year old that were good. I mean, they were pushing envelopes. Look at intro packs compared to Challenger decks. Challenger decks are just miles better. Look at, like, now they've got rid of the kind of the Planeswalker decks and replace them with Zendikar Commander decks, which I think is the next thing that's going to be blown out. Theme boosters, all these things are going to be blown out as my dog hits my camera. Thanks a lot, Chloe. All these things I think are going to be blown out within the next couple of months or years. We're going to find some cheap prices. So to give you an idea of Challenger decks are going for, there was a special from one of the distributors that were selling a set. So 4 sets of Commanders and 1 set of Challenger decks for $405, which is hundreds of dollars off of, it's $100 off of the distributor price and hundreds of dollars off of the kind of perceived MSRP. So anyway, that's where we're at with Magic the Gathering. There has been a lot of content on this channel. I need to do an update video on Double Masters, what I've been saying with this particular set of just going into. Was going to post this on the Gone Rogue Game channel because I think it's better for a Rogue Market channel, so we're just going to go ahead and throw it over at the Rogue Market. But if you are interested in bidding on this auction, so this is what we call the Bucko's House of Booty Whale Edition, because it's showcasing all the products that Wizards has created within the past 2 years to really try to whale or over whale the whales in the collectible card game industry for here or genre here in Wizards of the Coast, just the people that are the collectors. And I do have a collection of some of these left over. So this is going to be for a video. We're going to do a profit over loss video over on the Gone Rogue Game channel of the winning bidder. We're gonna say how much they paid for it, crack all these packs, add it all up by TCG mid prices, and see if they actually do break even. So if you're in the market for that type of content, you can definitely come over to my Gone Rogue Games channel. We have a lot of fun over there, a lot more off the cuff. A lot of times it's just me talking shop behind the scenes and just being, you know, me. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. It's been Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder / I don't know, maybe this will end up on the Rogue Market channel or Gone Rogue Games. We'll see.